It's too late to cry, my darling. I only took back what was already mine. Elena put her phone down on the table and smiled. Sergei had just texted her that he would be home late from work. The evening promised to be quiet. A cozy blanket, her favorite show, and a cup of hot chocolate. 8 years earlier, when she had met him at a friend's party, she never could have imagined what their story would become. At first, everything seemed simple. A chance meeting, numbers exchanged, a first date in a little cafe on Tverskaya Street. Sergei was funny, attentive, and full of charm. He made her laugh until she cried with his stories from his days as a taxi driver. After 6 months of dating, he spent his first night at her place. 6 months later, he moved in for good. Elena's apartment had come from her grandmother, 38 square meters, in an old building on the outskirts of Moscow. It wasn't big, it wasn't luxurious, but it was her home. Very quickly, Sergei settled into his routines. He brought his things, set up his computer, and put up a shelf for his books. Elena worked as a sales manager in a distribution company. Her salary was stable. Sergei, for his part, made a living as a driver. Together, they lived comfortably. One evening, lying on the couch, he said to her, "Lena, what if we got married next year?" "All right," she replied, without taking her eyes off her computer. But no big wedding. Just the city hall. Nothing more. Deal done. But something began to change around their third year of living together. At first, Helena didn't pay it any mind. Attention. Sergei started asking her more often where she was going, who she was talking to. Then he began to look at her phone when she left it on the table. "Sergei, why did you take my phone?" she asked one evening, coming out of the shower. "I was just checking who called," he replied without looking up. "There's a certain Igor who writes to you often. Is he a colleague? We're working on a project together. And why does he write to you at 10 o'clock at night? Because we have a deadline in 2 days." She took the phone back from him. "Don't do that." Then he gently embraced her, as if that gesture could erase everything. "I'm worried about you. It's because I love you." Elena had let herself be convinced. Jealousy, she thought then, might just be an awkward form of love. In the 4th year of their relationship, Olga, Sergei's sister, called. Her voice was trembling. She had just gotten divorced. She had nowhere to go. Sergei listened, reassured her, and promised to help. Then he turned to Elena. "Olga needs us. Can we let her stay here for a while? Just until she finds something else." Elena closed her book. "Sergei, we live in a studio apartment. 38 square meters. There are already 3 of us in here for 2. She'll sleep on the armchair. 1 month maximum." "No," the word fell flat. Sergei frowned. "She's my sister. And this is my apartment." The silence immediately changed tone. "All right," he said coldly. "Your apartment. So your rules." "That's not what I meant." "Yes, that's exactly what you meant." He left the room, slamming the kitchen door behind him. Elena stayed motionless on the couch, her heart heavy, but she did not change her mind. Olga would not come to live with them. For several days, Sergei barely spoke. He answered in monosyllables, avoided her gaze, and slept facing the wall. A week later, Elena went to spend the weekend at her parents' house in Tula. Her mother was ill and needed help. Sergei stayed in Moscow, using work as an excuse. "Call me when you arrive," he said as he walked her to the door. Of course. She kissed him on the cheek and left, having no idea what he was planning. As soon as she had left the apartment, Sergei and Alla's. In the bedroom, he opened the wardrobe and took out the box where Elena kept her papers. Passport, insurance card, work file. Then he found what he was looking for. The apartment ownership certificate, an official green document bearing Helena's name. He took it, photographed it, slipped the original into the pocket of his jacket, and left the apartment. An hour later, he was at his mother's place. "Sergei, my son, what's going on?" asked Valentina Petrovna as she opened the door for him. "I need your help." He placed the document on the table. "Keep it at your place, well hidden." His mother looked at him, stunned. "But why?" Because Olga is going to come live with us, and Elena refuses." She needs to stop opposing it. Valentina hesitated. Then, as always, she gave in. She took the document and slipped it into the sideboard, behind a stack of plates. Very well, if it can help you. On Sunday evening, Elena went back home. She put away her things, took a shower, and went to bed. The next morning, before going to work, she looked for her papers to make an appointment at the clinic. She opened the box and froze. The property certificate was no longer there. At first, she thought she had moved it. Then she checked everything. Once, twice, 3 times. She emptied the box onto the floor. Went through every sheet again. Nothing. Sergey, have you seen my property certificate? What certificate? He replied, without taking his eyes off his phone. The one for the apartment. The green document? No. Did you really look everywhere? They searched together. The drawers, the shelves, the furniture, even under the sofa. The document was still nowhere to be found. Strange, he said, almost nonchalantly. Maybe you could have it reissued. Elena nodded without replying. But deep down, a dark intuition had just been born within her. That document hadn't disappeared on its own. A week went by. Then one evening, Sergey came home earlier than usual. He sat down across from her, his hands resting on his knees. Lena, we need to talk. Her heart tightened. Do you know where the certificate is? Yes. Where? In a safe place. But that's not the most important thing. Olga is moving in tomorrow. Elena felt an icy chill run through her body. What? You heard me perfectly well. My sister will come tomorrow. She'll stay with us as long as necessary. Sergey? And you'll get your certificate back when she leaves. Not before. Elena stared at him as if she were seeing a stranger. You're blackmailing me. Call it whatever you want. Me, I'm helping my sister. And what if I refuse? He leaned slightly toward her. Then you'll never see that document again. And if you try to go against me, I'll destroy it. For a few seconds, Elena remained silent. She was boiling with rage. But she also realized that he had planned this out, that he knew exactly what he was doing, and that he was convinced she would give in. So she murmured, "All right, let her come." The next day, Olga arrived with 2 enormous suitcases, a satisfied smile on her lips, and the confidence of someone who knows she's protected. Lena, thank you so much. You're so sweet, Elena barely responded. From the very first day, Olga acted as if she were at home. Her things took over the shelves. Her beauty products filled the entire bathroom. She spoke loudly on the phone, left dishes everywhere, and played music late into the night. Olga, could you turn it down a bit? Elena asked one evening. I have to get up early tomorrow. Oh, Elena, it's only temporary, she replied, laughing. Temporary. 1 month, that's all. Then a second month, then a third. Olga didn't move out. On the contrary, she started inviting friends over. Helena's apartment became a place with people coming and going all the time. And every time Helena complained, Sergey always had the same answer. You agreed. You forced me. Don't forget who has the document. 3 years, 3 long years. 3 years during which Helena felt like a stranger in her own apartment. Olga ran the kitchen like the lady of the house. Sergey supported his sister no matter what. At the slightest complaint, he reminded Elena that she no longer had any power. If you're not happy, you can leave. Leave your own home. She lived like a guest in her own life. She would come home from work and seek refuge on the balcony, in the bathroom, in the silence. The arguments broke out constantly. Olga accused her of being ungrateful. Sergey watched without reacting, sometimes even with weariness, as if Elena were the problem. Then, one day, Sergey announced, Saturday is Mom's birthday, 60 years old. Are you coming? Do I really have a choice? Elena asked, exhausted. She went anyway, not out of affection for her mother-in-law, but simply because she no longer had the strength to fight about everything. Valentina Petrovna's house was full. Relatives, neighbors, friends. People laughed, raised their glasses, and congratulated the lady of the house. Elena, meanwhile, sat in a corner with her glass, like a shadow. Sergei and Olga, on the other hand, seemed perfectly happy. They laughed, talked, moved around the room as if they were on the right side of life. Then, Valentina stepped out for a moment to welcome more guests. Elena looked up. Sergei was talking with an uncle. Olga was flirting with a man near the window. No one was looking at her. So slowly, Elena stood up. She went into her mother-in-law's bedroom and closed the door behind her. She looked around the room. An old wardrobe, a dresser, a sideboard against the wall. Her heart started beating faster. She approached the sideboard, opened it, and moved the plates. And there it was, the document. It had to be there. Her certificate of ownership. Still intact, still in her name, still real. Her hands were trembling as she took it. She slipped it into her bag, carefully closed the sideboard, then returned to the living room. No one had noticed her absence. The party went on until late into the night. When the last guest left, Valentina sat heavily on a chair. What a lovely evening. Thank you, my children. Then, Elena stepped up to the table and placed the green document in front of them. I don't think you'll need this anymore. Valentina's face fell. Sergei turned around, saw the paper, and froze. What? How? I found it, Elena replied calmly. In your puff pastry, Valentina Petrovna, behind the plates. Honestly, it was a pretty predictable place. Lena, wait, Sergei murmured as he approached. Wait for what? She asked, her gaze fixed. To discuss how you stole from me? About your blackmail? About the 3 years of hell you put me through? I was just trying to help my sister. Ah, but that depends. You stole a document that belonged to me. You forced me to live in the same room as a woman I couldn't stand anymore. You turned my house into a prison. Olga stepped forward in turn. You're exaggerating. We were just all living together. Like a family, Elena let out a dry laugh. A family? You turned my apartment into a hostel. And he supported you every step of the way. Sergei suddenly raised his voice. That's enough. Give me back that document. No. Lena, I'm serious. So am I. He took a step toward her. She immediately stepped back. Don't touch me. Valentina tried to intervene in a weak voice.